Great evening, everyone. Chris Gonzalez here on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Wednesday, wishing you all an absolutely amazing day. I am here with the one and only Max Zanin. As promised, we would do. Last week we were on, had an amazing conversation. We had some super, super good engagement with people chiming in, letting us know how they feel about the car business and the anticipation and just really all the uncertainty that's surrounding the world right now. Word on the street is they just extended the lockdown for another 30 days. So it looks like May 15 may not be the number. I don't know how accurate that is, but we could discuss that later. So I have Mr. Max Zanin with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. And I got to tell you, I'm looking at it now. We had over 2,800 views of our last conversation on Facebook.
That was amazing.
Yeah. So I don't know if 2,800 is good or bad, but to me, it sounds incredible. Yeah.
We also had quite a few shares. I think there were like 37 shares, tons of comments. I know we went back and forth with a few people, and we really got some good insight and the perspective of others. So I want to thank you all who participated. If you're on here right now, let us know you're here. Also, let us know where you guys are watching from, where you are in the country or where you are in the world. Just let us know. We're going to be covering a few things to kind of piggyback, but I think we want to talk about the elephant in the room, and I think it's has a lot to do with ownership, business owners in the car business, and just this lack of ability to make decisions. And I think that right now it is a crucial moment for a lot of people. So, Max, what's your opinion on that?
So you know, I'm very conflicted about it because especially now, right, when you know that most people are at home, whether you know you're a car buyer or a car dealer, right, and we all have time now that we might not have before, and I do a lot of email marketing to car dealers, and I have to tell you. It's incredible how many people don't even open emails, don't read them, don't reply to them. And when I speak to people that I know in other industries, they're completely baffled by it. Because in another industry, there's courtesy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because I emailed you something, it doesn't, you know, obligate you in any way to buy from me. You know, but there's also common courtesy where you can reply and say, hey, you know, thank you for reaching out. Mm-hmm. I got the information. Maybe this is not the time, but let's keep in touch and maybe we'll do something in the future. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think all of that trickles down. And then we wonder, well, what happens in BDC, you know, when a customer submits a lead and then nobody gets back to them?
Yeah, we don't do the very things that we expect our people to do. And I think that it goes back to leadership, leading by example, and having the buy-in from the head as well as the following, right? I mean, you have to lead by example.
Yeah, exactly. So in that sense, everything breaks down, right? Because dealers don't get the necessary information. And I'm not saying that I'm the only source of information. I'm sure that if they don't get back to me, they probably don't get back to you, and they don't get back to many other people. Mm-hmm. You know, and when you miss out on information, it has a detrimental effect on your business. I'll give you another example. If you go on LinkedIn and you search for dealer principals in New York, mm-hmm. only 144 profiles come up.
Right.
You know, there are more than 144 dealer principals in New York, right? New York is a huge state.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So they consciously make a decision not even to be present mm-hmm. on LinkedIn. You don't have to be active. You can go at least and get information that other people are posting. You don't have to engage, you know, but at the very minimum, I think in 2020, you have to have a profile there.
A presence. Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. I think, not to bash it in any way, but I think part of the problem is they're just disconnected, from one, the reality, their business, their processes. I think a lot of people forget what got them to where they are. Not everyone is born with that silver spoon in their mouth. A lot of these owners and general managers had to actually work their way up the ladder and put in the physical work. And I think a lot of people have adapted through the years. Just, I'm going to push this off or delegate it to someone else, and they're responsible for that. And it's part of the issue that I find with getting your people to work effectively, to just follow through with simple processes, right? I mean, there's got to be that buy-in. You have to be present. You have to know what Saturday is like at your dealership, in your service department. You have to know what Sunday is like in your dealership and in your service department. I mean, you can't be away on your yacht and disconnected from your business because, if your eyes are off the road, right, then you're bound to hit something along the way. And I think we have all hit COVID-19 right now, and it's affecting a lot of people. I shared this with you, but recently there was an interview with JM&A, and they were discussing digital retail, right? And so you have platforms and tools that have been around for at least 10 years, but no one has used them. Everyone has taken pushed it to the side and said, this is not going to happen. This is not going to be, we're not ready for this. And our people won't adapt to this. And right now, everyone's in a position where they're forced to. I think they're predicting sales to be down this month for the dealers that are open, right around 56%, right? So that's a huge drop from where you were. And as we said last week, I think there's going to be a slow ramp up. So, those dealers that were disconnected, not doing these things and not leveraging these tools are in big trouble right now, and are finding themselves trying to adapt, with no one. Like, who do you train now on processes if your dealership's closed?
Right.
Who do you train now if you have limited staff? And I think that there are tons of lessons that we could take away from this, but people have to really open their eyes and really get their eye back on the prize, get dialed back into their dealership.
So one thing I learned is that people are consistent, right? And that goes for anything, right? So you're either consistently good at something, or you're consistently bad at something. You're consistently reliable or consistently unreliable. And that goes for both personal and business, right? Mm-hmm. So I live by that philosophy. And dealers are no different. There are dealers that are consistently good, and there are dealers that are consistently bad. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm willing to go on the record, and I know you're recording this, and say that dealers that consistently rejected digital retail before coronavirus are going to continue to reject it.
Right.
They will not do anything to change their processes.
Right. But yet they have the tools.
They do. They have the tools. They had them. They had them.
They have the menu software that can be emailed to a consumer to have them digitally choose and sign and do everything that you can do in a complete digital process. They have all these tools. It's kind of like dealerships being on social media. Everyone knows that they should have an Instagram page, should have a Facebook page, should have a Twitter page, right? But do they actually use these things? And again, I believe it stops that.
They're waiting for the bus.
They're waiting for the up bus, right? And right now, what do you have? You have people at home shopping, and to your point last week, expecting the results that give me your information and then I'll give you something. I got a phone call from someone earlier today. They were looking for, it's actually a previous client of mine has a friend that's looking for a car. So she naturally reached out to me, said she had a friend looking for a vehicle. When I finally talked to the customer, one of the customer's biggest complaints were they could not get a dealer on the phone, but they spoke to 4 brokers. And to me, that is just, I mean, guys, wake up.
Yeah. I mean, I am convinced that brokers in New York are going to come out smelling like roses after this crisis because nothing really changed in the way they do business.
Right.
They were delivering cars to the people's houses before the virus,
Right.
because that's the definition of convenience. And they were working deals transparently over the phone, email, text messages before. Something that car dealers are incapable of doing. Forget about getting a deal on the phone. I can't get a price of the car on their website unless I give them information.
Right.
That's not normal.
It's
I can Google, like I think I told you last time, right? I can Google and get an invoice for any car in the world, but I can't get an MSRP on the dealer's website. I mean, are we kidding each other here?
right. Right. So I want to talk about the email I got from you today in regards to service contracts.
Okay.
Let's talk about that. So explain.
This is another, Chris. This is another incredible example of how, with what we just talked about, consistency, right? So this program that you are referring to is not new. It's not triggered by the virus. This program has been in existence for at least, I want to say, 3 years. So the idea is very simple, and I'm sure you've experienced it yourself. You get a phone call, you answer the phone, and somebody is pitching you an extended warranty because your factory warranty is about to expire. Right? It's some kind of a third party that got a hold of your registration and your phone number. So the program that I emailed you about is done by a third party on behalf of the dealership.
Right.
So the third party basically contacts customers that are in the dealer's database that either have their warranty, about to expire, or customers that come to your service department that didn't buy from you and do not have a service contract. Right? So this is a very targeted marketing campaign, again, on behalf of your dealership. And every time they sell a service contract, a dealer gets a commission. Right? Meanwhile, everything is handled by this third party. It's a turnkey operation, meaning that the dealer doesn't have to train anybody, doesn't have to hire anybody, doesn't have to change anything about their process. And that's it.
Do you have any stats handy
regarding the sales?
Regarding sales, yeah.
So this is the best stat I can give you. Everybody gets 0 APR financing. So it's not like they call and say, "Hey, Chris, here's a service contract, for $2,500." Listen, nobody has $2,500, and especially in this economy, right? So they finance it for 0 APR, and your monthly payment, is very reasonable. And especially in this economy, right? If you are delaying a purchase of a new car or a new used car, you have to have coverage for your existing used car. Right? Because if you face, a major repair, it's going to cost you $2,000-$3,000 that you might not have. So this is an ideal solution, in the time of economic hardship. And unfortunately, another best statistic I can give you is that any sale is more than the dealers have right now. Right? So any sale is better than nothing.
So right? I asked you the question because this service is being offered because of the missed opportunity, right? So I'm going to say, if I say 50%, I think it's a lot, but 50% of the people that buy cars are offered an extended warranty. And I think that's a lot, right? I think it's more like maybe 25%. But let's
around 30% that buy it.
Let's call it 50 just for the sake of, right? So a dealership sells 200 cars. That's 2,400 cars a year. That means 1,200 consumers are offered a warranty. If their closing ratio is 30%, they're at, say, $350, right? 350 sold extended service contracts. Back to the 2,400 number, there's 2,050 customers that didn't purchase an extended warranty on that time. And so I remember my years in F&I, when I was explaining or going over what's included in the vehicle, that 3-year, 36,000 mile bumper to bumper warranty, customers responsible for maintenance. After that warranty expires, customer is basically on the hook. And the average customer at the time kept the vehicle 6.2 years, right? Which means they own that vehicle for 3.5 years without a service contract. And I know the average dollar amount spent per repair order. I know what kind of repairs take place in my service department, and we don't just swap oil. So do cars break down? Absolutely. A customer knowing a known manageable payment is more likely to buy for this based on security than they are not. And I used to relate this to text messaging. I remember I used to have to pay $10 more a month to get unlimited text messaging on my cell phone, right? So for a few dollars more per month, a consumer is able to protect their vehicle for 6-7 years. In this case, you're generating information based off of repair orders. So a customer came into the service drive, it triggers an action for this outsourced company to now call the consumer and say, hey, we noticed your car was just serviced. It's got 36,000 miles. I wanted to make available to you an extended service contract, which you could purchase. So the next time you came into the shop, if your vehicle needed any repairs, the most you would have to pay is a deductible. Exactly. Let me go over your options. Here's what it would cost. And I would love for you to deliver that percentage, but let's go back to just what we created, right? 30% of those customers, let's say, now buy a service contract after the fact. 2,400 customers coming through that drive. You're talking about 700 warranties that could potentially be sold by just implementing a process per year.
Right.
And doing a customer a service by protecting them, their vehicle, ensuring they don't have to pay any more money. And it's win-win. And the bottom line is you have a vendor who just brought a solution to a problem that you have. And the problem is F&I not delivering that pitch on 100% of the customers that buy cars.
Exactly. And the sad part is that there's really no process to implement, right? You don't have to do anything. You sign an agreement and the company starts working on behalf of your dealership. So 99.9% of the dealers, when presented with this program, say the same thing.
No, my people do that.
No, they actually say no, because I have to give you access to my database.
That you can buy anyway.
Not only that, obviously somebody already bought it because they're calling your customers, right? Because dealers know that their customers are being bombarded by these phone calls. I'm not making this up, right? They get it themselves, right? And they cannot overcome this thing that they got to give access to their database. And I don't know what they do with this database on their own, because they definitely don't do any F&I follow-up post-sale, whether it's warranty, whether it's tire and wheel, whether it's any other F&I product. It's just not. This is not how dealerships are set up. When you were in F&I, right? Let's be honest here, right? When you were in F&I and the customer said no, right? You moved on to the next customer, right? You never said, well, let me call this guy in a month and pitch him a warranty again.
No, never.
Right. This is not how we do. This is not how we do business. So again, this is really mind-blowing, because especially during coronavirus, when a lot of dealers basically gave up probably over 80% of their revenue, right? Due to the fact that they need to close or have a very limited, interaction with customers in both sales and service. You would think that they will be all over this program where a third party is doing all the work on their behalf and sending them checks. It's like free money, right? Because there's no cost to sign up. There's no contract to sign. You can cancel anytime, right? There's no catch, right? And the God honest truth is that they didn't. Mm-hmm. They just said, I can't give access to my database.
Mm-hmm. So I thought there was another problem with that. I thought it was the dealer being quick to say, well, why should I give you access to my customer, have you sell a warranty and only get $200, let's say, right? When I could sell the warranty myself and keep 100% of the profit. Well, the problem with that is they just won't do it, right? So go ahead. I'll let you go.
So I had this conversation with the dealer, and this is exactly what he said. For one dealer, and listen, I'm not going to name names, but you know him. He said that $200 commission is not enough. Mm-hmm. I'd like to get a minimum of 500. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's a flawed argument because right now you're getting zero.
Right, you're getting nothing.
Right. Right. So 200 is better than zero, right? In my math. That's my math. The second argument I heard from the dealer is that we should be doing it ourselves, which is true.
You should. Right.
Correct. I said, but you're not, and you haven't, and you won't, right? Because you're consistent. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? You consistently haven't done it, and you consistently won't do it. So instead of just saying that we should be doing it ourselves, let somebody do it, and maybe meanwhile figure out how you can take this operation in-house.
Mm-hmm. So would you say it's primarily due to the dealer's inability to make a decision?
Correct. But it's all related. First, it's their inability to read an email. So you actually got my email and you read it. Mm-hmm. But I guarantee you that a lot of dealers didn't even open it.
Well, yes, I'm sure there are tons of them. You know, it's just one of those things. And so your last email, I remember, what had to do with the ability to walk away in the event that you're challenged or faced with a life-changing event, right? Like you lost a job, or does it cover illnesses?
So it covers physical disability. It covers accidental death. You know, these are all life-changing events that might prevent you, you know, from making a car payment. Mm-hmm. So the response, people are interested, you know, and I think we're making great progress. But again, the only way the program works is if you preload it on every car and make it into your marketing, right? And say, hey, my dealership is different from the other dealership because we give you this incredible benefit at no charge. If something happens, like you said, life-changing event, and you can't make the payment, you can give back the car without financial consequences. So I think it's tremendously powerful marketing. Mm-hmm. The problem, again, a lot of dealers called me and they're saying, well, why do we have to preload it? Right? Mm-hmm. And then it's very simple. If you don't preload it, you miss out on the marketing.
Yeah. And I think that's what they're missing. I mean, it's so you think about dealers are still focused on the low financings. Dealers are still focused on the low lease payments. Dealers are still focused on we're different, right? Like, come buy from us. We're the big different dealer, right? But they're not focused on really what's creating the separation between them and the other dealer. And a great product I always like to bring up when I have this conversation is that Engine for Life product, right? Where you could basically say, look, your warranty, your engine is covered for life, right? And I think that's a very, very strong marketing tool, right? Because if I don't have to worry about my engine breaking, it's basically I can drive the car forever. Whether that happens or not, that's another conversation. But the comfort of knowing that that engine is covered for life is great. So to your point, the ability, you know, people are uncertain. People don't know. Am I going to go back to work? Is my business going to make it? Am I going to make the same income I was making? They're uncertain, right? So I think that just offers some security with them making a decision to have to buy, right? Like if you're in a position where you have to buy, you have to make a decision, at least this makes that decision a little easier, right? And Hyundai has really done an amazing job with this, right? And they had the Hyundai Assurance, but they have really been able to market this in a way that it's benefited them.
So I'll give you some incredible statistics from the Hyundai Assurance program. So when they rolled it out, in 2008, uh, all manufacturers on average were down 21%, and they were up 8%. That's a 29% swing, right? And during the Great Recession is when Hyundai became the fourth largest car maker in the world because of their American sales. And in terms of the brand recognition, that walkaway program did absolute wonders for Hyundai. So they increased their market share by 57% within 2 years of Hyundai Assurance Program, right? Within 6 months of the launch, they became the fourth largest automaker in the world, outpacing Ford and Dodge, right? And here's another interesting statistic. 59% more people considered buying a Hyundai because of Hyundai Assurance. That's an incredible number of people getting interested in the brand that were not interested in it to begin with. Another interesting statistic is that more than half of the people in the market that had not considered Hyundai, before started considering, Hyundai because of the Hyundai Assurance Program. So based on these statistics, right, your dealership can do wonders, right? Because let's say you work, I don't know, at a Honda dealership, and maybe I was never in the market for a Honda. Maybe I was considering a Toyota. Maybe I was considering a Hyundai, right? But if you all of a sudden have that value proposition, at the very minimum, you're getting a new customer to consider your product. And then definitely you can convince me to buy, right? Because, it eliminates the fear. And the fear, is the same for everybody now. We live in the unknown, and if there's a second wave of this virus, we don't know how it will impact employment. And therefore, a lot of people would delay their purchase. So by eliminating that fear, we can get car sales. We can jumpstart the economy. We can jumpstart your particular dealership. And I think that's very important.
So that the assurance what's it called? I'm sorry, I don't want to call it assurance. That's Hyundai.
So it's called walkaway.
Walkaway?
Yeah, walkaway vehicle return program. It's exactly from the same people that did it for Hyundai. So it's not something that I came up with. It's not something, that I imagined and created. This is a true and tried program that did wonders for Hyundai. And again, it's only relevant in these times. When we have the lowest unemployment numbers in history and the stock market is through the roof and everybody is confident and positive, people really don't care about this type of programs. But during the Great Recession and now, when unemployment is on everybody's mind and nobody's immune to it, like the virus, right? It doesn't matter if you were a blue-collar worker or a white-collar worker, right? You don't know what's going to happen to your industry. Look at people that were working in let's say, Las Vegas, right? On the Strip. It doesn't matter if you worked in the casino, in the hotel, in the restaurant. Everything is shut down. And I promise you that these people drive cars that they still have to pay for. So again, this program is absolutely incredible and relevant in this day and age. So if the dealer, going back to our conversation, the dealers, are incapable of making decisions. So if the dealer wants to think about it, right, and say, well, let's revisit this by Christmas, that train has left the station.
Right.
You have to be nimble. You have to act fast, and you have to recognize an opportunity when it knocks on your door.
So there are two things. So the walk away. The other thing that people are uncertain about is how clean is that vehicle,
Yeah.
right? It's one thing to offer delivery, but when that car gets to the consumer, how clean is it? Did they do their, take the proper steps to properly clean and disinfect that vehicle? And the answer is really no, right? How many people sat in that car prior to it actually being delivered? So there's another unknown that has to be answered there. And you have a solution for that as well. So why
So
don't
I'll
you
give
talk
you
about
the
that
best
again?
example. I've been on a lockdown in Pennsylvania, right? So this is my 8th week, and I haven't ordered any food from anywhere
Mm-hmm.
because of fear. I don't know if somebody sneezes on that food, right? I don't know who is the weakest link in that chain. Maybe it's the distributor, maybe it's the chef, maybe it's the delivery person, right? I just don't know. So the same logic applies to the car. When you deliver a car to my house, I don't know who's been in it, how many people,
Mm-hmm.
dealership employees, or other customers, right? So the it it's so uncertain that you really, as a dealer, have to address that issue and explain to people that you are taking proactive steps and you are disinfecting cars.
Mm-hmm.
And you really need to define what it means to disinfect a car.
Mm-hmm.
you know Saying it and doing it are two different things. you know so so from where I'm sitting, if I'm a dealer, right, and I have my dealership website, what I would do on a homepage, I would put up a video of me as the dealer principal or the general manager, telling people what you are doing in terms of coronavirus, whether it's disinfecting cars or offering the walkaway program or how you're operating. I think
Mm-hmm.
customers need to hear that message first before they can search your new or used cars, right? Because you need to address their fears as opposed to pushing your new car inventory with a pop-up window, saying buy now, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So disinfecting, means, like I said, means different things to different people, and there are different ways to do it. So the product that I have is actually registered with EPA to fight the virus that causes COVID-19. And the way the product is delivered to the dealership is that it's already mixed. Your employees do not need to engage in mixing or doing anything. And it's really easy to apply. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to treat a car. And again, that EPA registration, I think, puts a lot of customers at ease, because that's as good as it gets. That's the golden standard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I would go about it. But I would start with a video message on my
Yeah.
website.
So I saw a couple of video messages from some local people. There's an Acura store in Westchester. There's a Honda store in LIC. Um, but you're right. Not enough of them are getting out in front of the camera and addressing the public. And I think it goes back to what I was bringing up earlier in regards to getting back dialed into your dealership. You can't sit in the back office or sit in the background or show up when you feel like it just to check things out. You gotta be right out there on the front line with your people to say, hey, if we're gonna open our doors, here are the steps we're gonna take to ensure that we keep not just our staff protected, but our consumers, right? And they're great point. Put a video on a website and say, look, these are the steps that we're taking. If you're uncertain about your job, don't worry, here's what we have. You're worried about getting a vehicle that has not been sanitized or disinfected, here's what we're doing. Like, give the people no reason to not want to move forward with you, right? And again, if you're doing it and the next guy's not, that could be the selling point. That could be the deciding factor, because to your point, you're not having food delivered, right? Because you don't know who's touched it, who's breathed on it, right? So I have to physically go to the supermarket and pick out my own stuff. But the truth is, even that stuff, I don't know who's been over it. I was picking tomatoes the other day, and I'm the type of person, I got to make sure that they feel the right way, right? How many people touch those tomatoes,
right?
Before I consume them. So there are a lot of things that are going on in the world right now. And even just walking, I don't know if you've tried to cross paths with people, but, normally it would look like this, right? Two people going, but it's like this.
Right.
It used to be you would kind of do this before, right? Now people are like, so.
There's also another benefit to doing this video message, because I think it's really good for employee morale, right? Because your employees know that you actually care, right? Absolutely. And you don't just care about the customers, you also care about the employees. Right. And employee morale and a good organizational culture is what makes a good team and reduces turnover. Right. But if you don't do anything to create this culture, to show your people that you care, you will have constant turnover. And you're going to be spinning wheels trying to, train new people all the time and lose sales, and your customer satisfaction is going to suffer. So the employee retention, I think, is absolutely critical to success.
Right. Well, it's the same reason why a lot of dealers are chasing the new customers and not retaining their old, because they're not taking enough steps. Their follow-up process isn't there. Their business development centers aren't being given the right tools. Their service departments are not being given the right tools. You could still walk into a service department. It's like Twilight Zone. Like, there's no customer service there. You have more customer service in the sales department than you do in the service department. And the truth is, you need to have both elements everywhere, and it goes back to leadership.
So I'll give you another example. So, you need to have, you should have, even before the virus, right? You should have a service scheduler on your website. Right. This is 21st century. And a lot of dealers have them and a lot of dealers don't. And a lot of dealers, use X-Time. Because X-Time is part of Cox, and, Cox is just this huge conglomerate. Right? So you got DealerTrack, then they sell you X-Time, then they sell you Vin Solutions, then they sell you V-Order, right? It's one leads to another. And there are other products on the market, right, in terms of service schedulers that are better than X-Time, that are less expensive, that are easier to use. And they're offering free demos now for dealers, during this crisis. There's absolutely no commitment, right? And I spoke to one of these companies, and they told me they have a hard time giving away free demos. So think about it. What's the word I'm looking for?
Hard?
No, I don't want to say ignorant. How complacent, right, do you have to be if they say, hey, check this out for, 30 or 60 days for free. If you like it, you can sign up. If you don't like it, we will be friends. Right? This is unbelievable to me.
Absolutely. So while we're on the notes of scheduling, I just scheduled a hair appointment.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I should, if everything goes according to plan, I was able to go to my hair salon's website, fill out I'd like to schedule an appointment. I immediately got an email. I was able to log in, pick my time, pick my stylist, right, and schedule an appointment for tomorrow at noon. So I'm hoping it's not just a system they didn't shut off yet. I'm hoping that I'm going to actually be able to get a haircut tomorrow. But to your point, absolutely, people should be able to, get rid of the friction, get rid of the waiting for someone to pick up. Because I called service today for someone, and the first thing I heard was, "Oh, please hold." It's like, I call someplace that's not that busy, but I have to hold, right, in order to make an appointment. So
imagine they're asking you to hold now. Imagine what happens when
they're busy, when they're really busy, right? When they're really busy.
It's funny when I went to NADA this year. There was a workshop taught by NADA instructors on the subject of parts, and they made an incredible point, right? So what do you call parts? This is exactly what you're going to hear. Parts, please hold.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this is across the country, right? So they said, just imagine that your sales department answered the phone like that.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do?
You would
fire everybody.
You'd fire them all.
Right. So they said, why don't you do it in parts and service? Like, why do you let them get away with it?
Mm-hmm.
So again, at the end of the day, it comes down to the dealer, right? Human nature is path of least resistance. And of course, if I can say, parts, please hold, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if I know that this is like an offense punishable by termination, I would never do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I want to dive into. I want you to look behind. Can you see behind me, Max?
Yeah,
I'm sure other people can see too. So what you see taking place right now is home delivery. Let me get out of the way here. There you go. Home delivery of some sort, whether it be sales or service. This is nothing new, right? We did this when we were forced to. We had a situation where a customer, for some reason, couldn't get to the dealership. Let's say it was month end and we had to get that car delivered by the 30th or the 31st, and the customer can't come to the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, and we needed it delivered. Where now we were willing to, right?
We
because
figured it out.
Convenient to us, right? But we forgot the biggest element, and what should have been the focus is making it convenient for the consumer. So I want to talk about digital F&I. Do you currently have any products for digital F&I? Something that is as simple as you and I think this is great. The fact that I could stare at you, if you were my consumer, I would do a Zoom call to sit down and do F&I.
So the short answer is no, because again, and you can test it out, right? Pick a dealership's website, your choice, right? I'm not going to give you any names, and see if you can research F&I products, let alone buy them.
Right.
And the short answer is no, right? When you click on the finance tab of any dealer's website, at best, there will be
a credit app,
calculator, and a credit app.
A credit app.
Right. So the F&I products are like a dirty secret.
Right.
They don't exist.
Right. The same could be said for service.
Well, at least with service, they're like oil change specials that they post, or brake specials, or air conditioning. With F&I, there's nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And again, people sell themselves, right? When you buy stuff, like I bought a TV on Amazon, right? And at the checkout, they asked me if I want to buy an extended warranty for my TV.
Mm-hmm.
There was no Zoom phone call. Right, they just laid out benefits and they said how much it costs, and it made perfect sense. And I did it. I sold myself because I was given all the relevant data. So at the very minimum, you can put some information on the website. I mean, what is the top secret about tire and wheel protection?
I'm going to tell you what it is. It's if you were to put $5.99 for tire and wheel on your website,
okay,
you have the finance managers that are selling it for $15.99 or trying to sell it for, right? It's like it's the thought of, if I show the price, I'll lose money, right? It goes back to the warranty theory, right?
Right. So first of all, if you do sell it for $15.99, let's say in a Honda store,
it's a compliance issue.
It's not even a compliance issue. It's just people will understand, and at some point realize that they've been had.
Right.
And it's not worth it. And what happens when it's not worth it? They're just going to cancel it.
Right.
So the profit that you record on that $15.99 sale is temporary and fictitious.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So forget compliance issue. Let's say there is no compliance issue. You can sell products for whatever you want to sell. There's still a market value. And car buyers are not stupid, right? They can do the math of how much is a tire, how much is a rim, what's the probability of, getting in trouble and how much it's going to cost out of pocket. This is not rocket science, So first of all, $599 seems like a fair price.
Mm-hmm.
And I promise you, at $599, dealership is making money offering a tire and wheel at a Honda store.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe instead of charging $15.99, let's sell it for $5.99, but also let's offer additional products, because it's not just tire and wheel. There's lease wear and tear that's very relevant in New York, right? Or because of the lease penetration and because of the congestion and how damaged cars get by parking on the street. In other states, Gap is extremely relevant product. Why wouldn't we put it on the website? What's the top secret?
Fear.
And again, you let people do the research and they will sell themselves. I mean, look at CarMax. CarMax uses kiosks.
Yep.
For F&I products. And they have tremendous penetration through kiosks. Because people sell themselves. You give them the information, they're going to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a good product?
It all boils down to training. Like it's just, and I hate to go back to it's leadership. It's the buy-in from up above. You have to have that dealer engagement. You have to have that owner, that general manager, it's the chain of command. You can't not do something and expect your people to do it, right? It just doesn't work that way. You have to lead by example. So having them buy into a process, putting a process in place that forces your staff to walk the customer through a convenient, transparent process is super important. If something is $5.99, say it's $5.99. And I think you'll start to remove some of that negative stigma that gets associated with buying a car. If you're just transparent, look, this is the cost, this is what everyone pays, right? It makes it simple. Amazon does it.
Yeah, Best Buy does it.
Tesla does it.
Right, Best Buy does it.
There's no cheaper Tesla out there, right? You go to Tesla, it's one price. This is it. Your lease payment is XYZ. Do you want these other items? Here they are.
Right.
Give the consumer the tools and the options, and they'll make the right decision. Be sleazy about it, and you're going to wind up where you are right now, nowhere. Trying to cut corners, negotiating for more profit on that warranty that gets sold that you're doing nothing for, other than allowing access to your database so we can call your consumers and offer them a product that could benefit them in your service department. And the benefit is you're going to wind up utilizing that service contract in your drive.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I spend a lot of time in F&I. A lot of dealers do not cap the sale price of their F&I products.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I'm finance manager and my dealer doesn't stop me, I'm going to go all the way.
Mm-hmm. I think with everything that's going on, I think there is a perfect opportunity for a new breed of finance manager. A new breed. One who is not savvy with technology, right? Because anyone can learn it, but someone that is learning, that is willing to learn. And I know tons of finance managers that even just getting them to build and print up a proper menu is an issue. It's usually like this, all right, well, we'll get it later type of attitude. But right now there's a tremendous opportunity. Look, if I didn't physically have to sit in front of you, I could record myself pitching these products, right? Send it to you and now call you to ask you if you have any questions. And figure out where you stopped watching that video. Did you watch it all the way through? And there's so much opportunity. And I think there's a tremendous opportunity for a new breed of finance manager out there. And I'm going to put some thought into that.
Right. So again, unfortunately, like you said, everything, comes from the leadership. And you need to have a commitment of a dealer principal. So if the dealer principal is willing to face the facts and say, yes, customers are no longer interested in coming to my showroom.
Sorry.
No problem.
He's crashing the party over here.
Yeah. So, if you're willing to admit the fact that your customers are not willing to come to the showroom, it leaves you no choice but to come to your customers.
Right.
That goes for F&I. So then as a dealer, you would have a meeting with your finance department and say, guys, we used to do it one way, but the world has changed.
Right.
Let's embrace it. I think everybody learned how to use Zoom during coronavirus.
Oh, real quick.
Right.
Real quick.
So let's use Zoom and get in touch with our customers and do the F&I process through Zoom. Let's go over the menu. Let's explain to them what the products do. Let's explain to them how much it would cost them if they don't buy the product. And again, I spoke to a dealer who has been doing it before the virus, and his product penetration is greater when he uses video conferencing compared to when the customers are in the showroom.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a direct relationship between doing it through video, when the customers are comfortable at home or at work, and making more money.
Yeah.
So
making more money simply because you're going through the process with more people, I think is probably the biggest takeaway, right? Like it's the 300% rule, right? Going over 100% of the products with 100% of the people, 100% of the time. Like it is something that's being, dramatically missed.
But in addition, I think it eliminates the pressure element, because when you're in a dealership, and the customer goes in the box, right? There's pressure on the finance manager to sell. The customer feels pressure. The door is locked, right?
Mm-hmm.
They call the box for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't call it like a beach vacation,
Right.
So here, if you're the finance manager and I'm at home and we're doing this, I feel that I am in control, and at any moment I can say, Chris, you know what? My wife just made dinner. We got to pick this up later, right? And I leave, right? That's it. So I think giving the control back to the customer makes it easier for them to make the buying decision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Leans them more towards that process. Look, Uber and Lyft gave the consumer control of when they can call their next ride instead of hailing a cab outside or waiting for I'm from New York, right? So it used to be like call 52, pick up, right? I would be in one taxi and I'd be hearing that, the dispatcher inside the car. Like, we have so many tools that we could be utilizing right now. And you started to make a point earlier. Everyone had the issue of time. Everyone had the excuse of time. The fact that the vast majority of us, right, in the industry are now home, I would really like to see in the comment areas what things people are doing differently, or what new strategies or new tactics or new skills are they willing or prepared to bring into that business. I would really like to hear some of them from some of the people, like more salespeople going to take on video walkarounds, or finance managers are going to attempt to do video type setups, as we used to call them, right? What are we going to do? What are we prepared to do? Because I don't think it's any different from me being directly in front of you than staring at you in this computer. So many people today now walk around the cities on FaceTime with people. They're just communicating that way.
That's right.
How do we take that to the next level? You mentioned earlier X time. So X Time for Service also has a platform where the technician is, instead of just communicating with the service writer what's wrong with the vehicle and having the service writer communicate with the consumer what's wrong, that technician is able to actually take photos and video of what is wrong with that vehicle and now send it to the advisor, where he's able to forward that to the consumer. So I don't want to tell you that your brakes need to be replaced. Let me show you that they need to be replaced. I don't want to tell you that your tires are bald. I want to show you how they're bald. And I believe in that process, the conversion will go through the roof. If it doesn't go up 200%, I think, I think 200-300% sales would go up if they adapted a process like that. What's your opinion?
So yes, seeing is believing. And the best part about the platform, whether it's Xtime or any other platform, you don't have to call the customer because you can't get them on the phone anyway. You just text them the video.
Right.
And then in the message, right, they can authorize or decline the job.
Right.
So talk about eliminating friction.
Right.
Right? Because imagine if you're a technician, right? And you're waiting for the service advisor to sell the job. If the service advisor can't get the customer on the phone, you, the tech, are not making any money.
Right.
Then you got to get the car off the lift, right? And start working on the new car.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have this platform. I'll tell you more. It gets better. There's a company called Update Promise
mm-hmm.
that has an incredible program, which in my opinion blows Xtime out of the water, right? So not only that they send you the text message and you can authorize the job, you can also pay for the job from your phone. So now, and especially now in terms of not being interested in communicating with people
mm-hmm.
out of fear of getting infected, right? I don't want to go to cashier and make the payment for the repair order. So I pay for my phone remotely. And on top of it, they have an ability to finance the repair order at 0 APR for 3 months, right on your phone.
Wow.
So maybe I don't have the money, right, for the $1,200 job,
mm-hmm.
but I can swing $400 a month for the next 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all designed to eliminate friction.
Right. So now I ask you this, because what I find, if you look at who's doing these jobs, like, are they, it's like, would we have to bring in another person, like a techie type employee? Would you have to bring someone with a different skill set?
Look at Apple, right? So when I bought my first Apple computer, right, it was in 2004. And I bring it home, I open the box, right? And I'm looking for the manual, right? And it's not there. And I'm lost, right? So again, this is 2004, right? I walked back to the store and I said, guys, I just bought a computer. It doesn't have a manual. And they said, of course it doesn't. It's Apple.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy that you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And this is how they do it, for many years, right? When you get your new iPhone, right, or an iPad, it never comes with a manual.
Right.
So these products for, let's say, service schedule, they're the same way. They're so easy to use that you cannot say, well, my people wouldn't be able to figure this out. It's not like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's bulletproof. It's easy. It's in real time. It's really no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And if your people refuse to use the tools that you give them, you really need to get new people.
Right, which is what I was coming around to, right? So I think right now, a lot of people are in a great position to get rid of those system breakers, those people that are not willing to adapt or change, and really bring in some new. And I'm going to give you an example. It's tough to say this, right? But it's tough to find good help. People that are skilled on the phones. And I'm saying, like, for a certain dollar amount. So if I wanted to, let's say, pay $15 an hour, I'm going to get this caliber. If I'm willing to pay 20, I'm going to get this caliber. If I'm willing to pay 25, I'll get this caliber, right? And so I've been kind of forced to maybe outsource some of my things. So I go to the Philippines. I'm going to give you an example. And it's not even what I'm paying, because I feel bad not paying the right dollar amount based upon what I would normally pay here. But these people are so willing and so grateful to be working, to have a job, to have an opportunity, that they're like doing amazing work for decent money, and they're happy to be there. You have a lot of people that are in these stores or in these businesses that are just, like, because I make $15 an hour, I'm going to do $15 an hour work, and they just don't take pride in the things they do. So back to what I'm saying, I think they're in a good position to get rid of some of these rotten apples and bring in some new skillful people, some people that are willing to put in the work, maybe be a part of something new, focus on the customer experience, make people happy, and just be in an environment where things are great.
Right. That's definitely true. But also, nothing happens on its own, right? Dealers need to invest in training. And that training doesn't just go, I'm not talking about sales training, customer service training.
Right.
Right. For all departments, it doesn't matter where you work, right? If you answer the phone, you need to know how to sound professional and respectful and excited and provide this phenomenal service. So, like, I'll give you an example. Apple, right? When you go to the Apple store, I actually asked them, I said, guys, how do you get this job? Is it because you have the in-depth understanding of Apple products? No, absolutely not. They hire Apple employees based on their ability to interact.
Yeah, and Starbucks too.
Right.
Starbucks too, yeah.
Right, and the technical aspect they teach them.
Right.
Because it's again, you can teach people the technical aspect of anything, but you need to hire the right personality. Also, you need to have a culture, with set expectations. And I cannot give you a better example, I think, than Enterprise Rent-A-Car, right? Enterprise Rent-A-Car only hires people out of college, and they have to start as rental agents, and they have a dress code, right? No other rental company has that. And guess what? Enterprise never filed for bankruptcy in its history, and it's privately owned. And Hertz is getting ready to file for 5th bankruptcy in their history. So, or look at McDonald's, right? You walk into McDonald's, everybody wears a uniform. I've never seen a McDonald's employee without a uniform, right? But you walk into a dealership that allegedly has a dress code, and you will always find a violator, right?
Violators.
The dry cleaner was closed. My dog ate my T-shirt. It's incredible that the leadership does not enforce basic things. And if you don't do the basic things, you can't do complicated things.
Right. It's the environment, leadership. All of these things play a big role. And when you're trying to bring that, and you just brought another thought in my head. Well, I was looking to attract new, young, aspiring people. I started going to these college fairs, job fairs, and I would come across some really, really nice young individuals. And the only thing I could think about is taking these nice, wanting to do great things in this world and bringing them into the environment that you currently had at that store. Because the truth is, I'm there because you don't have the right fit where you are. So you kind of like, all right, I need to bring some new blood, some new energy, some people that want to be here, right? That want to enter the workforce, but you bring them into that environment and all you do is poison them and you ruin them. You make them like what you have.
Exactly. Because we, for some reason, think that people are interested in working bell to bell, right?
Yeah, right. No salary, minimal commission. They have to wait to do everything, right? It's just,
And we give them no training, right? We give them no
no
training.
training whatsoever. And if you happen to be a store that decided to hire a recruiter to bring in staff, as soon as that staff leaves the recruiter's gone, you have the salespeople and the managers telling those exact employees, "Oh,
Forget everything they told you.
Forget what he said. Forget what he said. That stuff doesn't work. Just follow me. What do you want for lunch?"
Right? This is also, and maybe this sounds wrong, right? But if I'm a dealer, right? So I think you and I are the same age, right? So we still were in car business, the old-fashioned way, the bell to bell, the no salary, abuse, right? And you really had to be driven to make it.
Your
right?
order wasn't written the right way. Let's rip it up. Go do it again. It was missing something. Rip it up. Go do it again.
Right, but you had to be driven at least by the money, right? To tolerate all the nonsense. The best part about millennials, right, that you can hire now, that they're not motivated by money.
They don't care about the
money.
money.
You don't have to pay them.
They care about the money. They care about being inspired, being a part of something.
So give them $15 an hour, create a good culture. I guarantee you they will sell the fuck out of these cars and love it, and you're going to make more money.
Absolutely. I agree with you 1,000%.
AutoNation, this is unbelievable, right? So this is true. AutoNation, they have like 300 dealerships, the largest publicly traded auto group in the country. They went to their people last year and said, you have two options. You can remain on the old pay plan that you and I are familiar with, which is all commission, or we can do what we just talked about for millennials, right? We're going to put you on a salary. We're going to give you a bonus for volume, right? We're going to limit the hours you work, right? And guess what? 70% of their workforce jumped on that pay plan. So I don't see a downside to it. Millennials are great. They do want to work. You don't have to pay them as much. As a business owner, I would be all over it.
And they can come in and teach your people some stuff about technology.
Right. They all know how to use FaceTime. I guarantee they'd learn how to use Zoom way before you and I did.
Right. Oh, they'll figure it out in 2 seconds.
Right. But so it's an incredible opportunity that dealers have now to really change everything about their business. And these opportunities don't come along, often.
Right. Max, what's scary is I believe they're just all waiting to open up their doors and go back to how things were.
100%.
And it's really, really, even at the employee level, I don't want to just beat dealers and upper management. The employees, you have salespeople, you have business development people, you have receptionists, you have office staff, that all DMV clerks, you have all these people that believe they're just going to go back to work and it return back to what it was, and it's really sad. And it's not just our industry. Every industry is experiencing the same issues, right? If you're not a contractor of some sort or in construction, something that really requires the same type of activity or action, right, to actually build something, these people are being replaced by automation. They're being replaced by just a more simplified process, by outsourcing, and it's really scary to me for those people who are not taking the time right now to think about what they should be doing moving forward, or what skills are they acquiring to make sure when they get through this, when they come out on the other end, that they have a different skill set that they could bring into their environment that makes them valuable. Because right now, value is down. There's no need for you if your business is closed. When it opens, we don't know what is to come.
So ultimately, it requires a perspective shift. Right. And I think I told you this, last time we did this, that there are people out there in automotive industry that poison the well by saying that customers like coming to the showroom to negotiate.
All right.
And they reinforcing this. It's a falsehood. It's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So once you as a dealer or a general manager, or a dealership employee, once you face the facts that car buyers are like you and I, they shop on Amazon. They don't haggle with Amazon, right? They expect a smooth process with no friction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you face these facts, you will be able to change the way you do business. But if you continue to believe the BS that people love coming to the showroom to haggle, there's no motivation for you to change anything. You're going to continue waiting for the up bus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And the most amazing part is that you go to a dealership, right? And this, I've seen it with my own eyes over and over again. You go to a dealership and either, a GM, a sales manager, or the owner gets an Amazon delivery to the showroom.
Mm-hmm. So they use all the convenience, right? They like the transparent, but they don't feel it's necessary to deliver to their consumer. Well,
Exactly.
I think they're in for a rude awakening.
They are, and again, you at some point, and I think this is really, really important, right? At some point, whether you like it or not, Amazon is going to get into car sales.
Mm-hmm.
And once they do, right, most dealers will be caught completely off guard, like they never imagined it could happen. And Amazon will just crush it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of us know exactly how they will do it, right? How do you think Amazon is going to sell cars? The same way they sell everything else.
They're going to drop ship. They're going to place an order. You're going to have a network of dealers that are going to deliver the car.
But they're going to put everything on their website. There'll be no Zoom phone calls. It'll be all on their website. Full disclosure. You like it, you put it in the shopping cart. You don't like it, you don't put it in the shopping cart.
Right.
So if we all know how they're going to do it, why can't we just beat them to the punch?
Right. Leadership.
What are we waiting for? You can actually go, if you go to Amazon's page in Spain, they are already leasing cars in Spain through Amazon platform.
Wow.
So this is happening. You understand? Like, I'm not talking about some science fiction. This is happening right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're learning in Spain. Eventually, they're gonna, crack the code and bring it to America. And all these dealers that think that franchise laws are going to protect them are in for a rude awakening.
Come on, it's already been broken. Come on, Tesla is proving
Right.
it.
And
Tesla goes direct to consumer.
Right, and it's going to keep getting broken over and over again because Tesla is not the only one. You're going to have Rivian come into the market, also partnered with Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going to be an incredible number of times that the franchise laws are going to get broken.
Mm-hmm. We got a long message here from my man Manny Reyes. We got new and old employees must be trained every day, trained in the art of making a lot of money selling cars. You teach them how to make big money, and they're going to want to learn more. That's the bottom line. Unfortunately, there are not many true professionals left in the business willing to give their time, pass down an outlet. Absolutely. What a shame, Christopher. Keep doing your thing. Thank you, Manny. I agree with you. Look, it's throughout the years, I think we've poisoned that well just by our own, and I say own, meaning ownership, leadership, right? By our own inability to adapt. Like, we can see what's coming. We know what's coming, but the human race is more focused on preservation. Like, let's preserve the old ways for as long as we can. And, like right now, you can't. If you don't have someone in front of you, what do you do? And I think that is the bottom line here.
And we are losing a lot of good people for the same reason, we can retain new hires, right? As you get older, right, and you get better, quality of life becomes more important, and you start a family, you have kids, and if you work in a car dealership and they expect bell to bell, especially like no days off the last week, it's just not conducive to real world anymore. And a lot of people leave and they either go into another industry or they start their own leasing or brokerage companies, and enjoy quality of life. So dealerships really need to reevaluate the basics, like a schedule. And if you expect people to work 70 hours a week, at some point they're going to burn out and leave.
Yeah. Well, I think they have to take a step back, reevaluate their business, but also start analyzing all of their profit centers, right? I mean, just all the missed opportunity. A dealer who wants to sell more cars will usually just pay for more leads, but not put a better process in place to improve the closing ratio on those leads, right? A dealership that wants to do more service, he's going to jam up his service department, create chaos, have angry people just because he wants to drive more traffic to that service drive. So I think they just have to analyze their current business model and establish all the profit centers, go back to basics, see how you can improve them and get more out of what you currently have instead of looking to flood, right? So let's overcompensate for all of our deficiencies by getting more people through the door.
Right. So this is especially true for New York, right? Because we have a high population density, and dealers can truly buy more leads and at least try to sell their way out of a problem. But if you go outside, and your dealership is in a small area, like a small town, let's say, I was in a dealership, in a Toyota dealership in Texas that town has population of 60,000 people. You can't buy more leads.
Right.
You can't, right? The only thing you can do is to perfect the process and maximize every additional opportunity, because it's no longer just about selling cars or servicing cars, right? You will figure out how to sell parts online. You will figure out how to start a body shop. You'll figure out how to open an insurance agency. You will have no choice but to maximize every single opportunity. But in New York, dealers relax and they say, well, in Brooklyn, we have a population of 2.5 million people.
Right.
I don't need to do anything.
Right. You could trip over your next sale.
Right.
But compliance is a big threat, right? And most dealers are not compliant. They don't have you also offer compliance, and I think that's a big component that I don't really hear you talk about much. But
I think everything changed. I think everything changed because now we need to look at compliance differently, right? We really need to look at compliance in the sense of remote sale. And as a dealer, you really need to protect yourself now, because you need to know who's signing for that car loan. You need to make sure that if you do a deal online, you're actually selling it to the person who you think you're selling it to. This is the best opportunity for identity theft, this environment, right? Because dealers are not sure what they're doing, right? They really have no point of reference, and we're doing these remote deliveries. We're wearing masks. If I wear a mask, how do you know I am who I claim to be?
Right.
So you really need to develop new protocols for identity theft prevention. And that's very important because it's going to be happening more and more. Or when you do an out-of-state sale, you need to make sure that this person is who that person claims to be. And how do you do that? You need to utilize remote notary at the very minimum, right? You need to do something to cover your ass.
Oh, how about something as simple as taking a driver's license? You know, you take a picture of a driver's license, or someone sends you a copy. How do you know that that license is authentic? You don't know until you physically go and register the vehicle. By that time,
So,
it's 2, 3 weeks later, right? Cars on the road can't be found. There are
so
tons of things.
before the virus, right? When I do compliance, let's say if I do an on-site compliance audit, right? I go to a dealership and let's say I'm in Tennessee, right? I take out my New York driver's license and I give it to them. And I say, guys, do you know if this license is real?
No.
Right. Because if you live in Tennessee, what are the chances that you would know what a New York State driver's license look like?
I think most of the licenses look fake to me. You know, you look at all these licenses from different states, they all look fake.
Right. So again, you at the very minimum, you need to have hardware in place to ensure that the license is real.
Right.
So the best example I can give you, when you go to an airport, they put your license under this ultraviolet light. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, yeah.
That equipment is called a fraud fighter. And you can buy it. It's not specifically designed for TSA or CIA or FBI.
It's also a tool that you can integrate into your CRM, where you scan the license and the customer's information comes into your CRM.
Right.
Never used. Never used.
Right. So all I'm saying is that, guys, you can go to Fraud Fighter's website, right, and buy this equipment. And Chris, we're not talking about anything expensive. I think this little machine is like $300.
Right.
And it actually comes with a book, right? And the book gives you a description of each driver's license from each state.
Right.
So you know what to look for.
I look for the little yellow star.
Right.
That means it can be used as official identification.
Federal ID.
Federal ID. There you go.
That's right. When was the last time you saw a fraud fighter equipment in a car dealership?
I didn't even know it was available.
Never.
So, right. I never knew it was available. I just know that, look, every now and then you come across something that doesn't look right, and you show it to another person who has no idea what they're looking at.
Right.
So just so they can co-sign the delivery. Like, what do you think? Does this look real? Yeah, it looks real. Okay, good. I got a second opinion.
And on the last day of the month, when you're chasing the stair step, it definitely looks real.
Oh, that's 100%, right? There's no income? What do you mean? Where'd they work last? No, that's as a joke, but that's a scary truth. That's what's happening in the world, and it's only going to get worse as we move to these platforms that we're not just being forced to use because of the times, but that we're going to have to use by giving the customer the control that they want, and that's where we are right now. Right now, people want to do business at the palm of their hands, and we're not offering that ability. And we're definitely not doing a good job to protect ourselves. So I think what people should be doing right now with their downtime, right, if they have some, is really documenting every single process that they would want to see in their business. And, it could be something as simple as sanitizing a car. What is the process for that? What are we doing to properly identify buyers? What are we doing to sign out? Because the next thing that's going to happen is we're now going to the consumer's home, right? And I don't know if this is an actual law. I just know that it was always compared in the car business. But remember the vacuum law where the Hoover used to go to homes and sell these vacuums, but because they came to you, there were certain consumer protection laws.
You had the 3-day cooling off period if they came to you.
Yes. How does that come into play with offsite delivery?
So I think the best answer I can give you is that look at Carvana. They allow you to return the car within 7 days.
Yep.
Right? And I think it addresses all the issues. It's almost like the walkaway program, right? It eliminates fear of buying a car sight unseen.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you don't need to be like Carvana and let them have the car for 7 days, 3 days.
That's 3, right? 3 days, but there's 3 things now. So now you can not only buy assurance, right? So no, you rest assured if something changed in your life, you're protected. Walk away from that loan and not be obligated. Number 2, our cars come completely sanitized. And number 3, if you don't like it, you have 3 days to return it.
So the crazy part, right, is that in New York City, consumers actually have the right to return a used car for any reason within 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether you like it or not, you have to take the car back. So this is, again, an incredible opportunity to turn a negative into a positive.
Right.
And say, hey, we're so confident in our process, and we're gonna treat you right and give you the best deal possible, and help you choose the best vehicle possible. That if for any reason you don't like it, within 48 hours or 72 hours, bring it back and we'll exchange it.
Right.
Again, most people do not go out to buy cars with the goal of returning them.
Right. You're 100% right. So we're going to do this again next week, right? We're going to keep this going every single week. Tuesday. Tuesday. I'm sorry I got tied up yesterday, but we made it here now, and I think we covered some really, really good positive topics. I think a lot of people have a lot of things to think about, and more so think about it for the sake of documenting it and putting an action plan into place to really implement these things when we all go back to work. Because again, it's still uncertain what is to come of most businesses, and I think that everybody at every level have to make a conscious efforts on bringing new skills into that workplace.
Right. And I think the final thought, is that dealers are afraid of transparency. It doesn't matter whether it's in sales, F&I, or in service. They just, for some reason, they associate transparency with loss of profit.
Right.
But the reality and the proof of concept to me is Carvana, that's averaging over $3,000 per car, and brokers.
Right. But Max, so what are they going to do? What I found is most dealers want to follow suit. So they'll do it because other people are doing it. But where is the innovation in that? Why not be first to market? Isn't that really going to truly separate you from everyone else?
Right. I agree. And I don't know. There is a mental block. There's a total mental block. But again, look at brokers. I know a lot of brokers that make good money per car. They're not in business of giving cars away.
Yeah. I used to have this argument, like, look, we know what we sell the car for, and we know what we're cutting the check for. And if you add those two components together, they weren't cheaper. They were just more convenient.
That's it. That's exactly it. And same thing with Carvana, and I think Carvana at $3,000 a car, they haven't reached their goal. Their goal is to be at $3,800 a car. And I think once Carvana actually perfects their online F&I, they will easily get to $3,800 a car. And $3,800 a car, these are extremely respectable numbers. I don't care where you are, what brand you sell.
Mm-hmm.
So the proof is there. You don't have to take my word for it, right?
Yeah.
Forget me, forget you, right? Transparency means more money.
Yeah. The biggest argument I hear, Max, is they're losing money, they won't be around. And you know what? This is going back 2-3 years, right? They've made it this far.
Right. And
right? All they continue to do, for every car that gets sold, how many more people do they reach? It's market share. Amazon proved this. Volume brings growth. Amazon built their trust in their process and in their pricing. They no longer have to be the best price anymore, right?
Correct.
Because they built that trust. And that's the same thing that the denial is allowing companies like Carvana to do. Build the trust.
Right. So again, like I said, it's a good idea to record a video, at least as a dealer principal or a general manager, right, and put it on your website. And it doesn't need to be, produced in a studio and be anything fancy. But look at how much bigger Carvana is than your local dealer and how quickly they readjusted with the coronavirus. And I'm watching TV and I see their commercials, and their commercials are all about touchless delivery now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a company that's being nimble and reacting fast.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we have dealers that can't even record a video on their iPhone.
Right. Absolutely.
These guys needed to produce a commercial in a studio, right? They needed to buy airtime and distribute this commercial on TV all over the country. And they did it almost overnight.
It's amazing what we can do by simply just taking out our phone, right? Have someone else hold an iPhone. There's no one at the dealership, so you don't have to worry about noise, right? Make a quick video, explain to the world who you are, and what you're willing to do, right? Make it more about service, and more will come. I think that we covered this in our last one when we were talking about cold calling, and it's not the time to cold call people to sell them things, but it is the time to cold call people, ask them if they need anything. Hey, if you need service, we're willing to pick your car up. Ray Katina always had this. Look, you have tons of things to do in your life. Let us handle your car.
Yeah. So Ray Katina, you bring up a great example. Ray Katina was always about the service element, right? Mm-hmm. Ray Katina advertising is almost never about the price of the car or the payment.
The experience.
Right. And I think he's an extremely successful car dealer, has a great reputation. You really don't hear people complaining about buying cars, from Ray Katina. Mm-hmm. And it's a pretty big, I think they have over 20 rooftops. So, it's a pretty big organization, and they consistently do the right thing.
Yes.
So I'm telling you, incredible opportunity to completely re-engineer the business now.
Absolutely. So we're going to leave them with that, Max.
All right.
And we'll regroup next week. Once again, it was an absolute pleasure. Is that hockey behind you? What's behind you here?
These are soccer jerseys. Soccer, not
soccer. It looks like that middle one looks like.
Yeah. Hockey. So obviously you're not a soccer fan, but these are incredible players behind me.
Are they really?
Yeah.
448. I thought that was your calling number. But, all right. You have an absolute amazing evening, and I'll see you again next week.
You got it. Thank you, Chris.
All right, brother. Bye-bye.
All right.